Hi, welcome to the Find Your Edge podcast, or Horizons Edge podcast with me, your host, Jackson Lohr, where we talk about sports, people in them, and their stories. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, how you been?
I've been good, man. Life's been it's been like a season of trust,
Yeah.
Left Liberty in December and interned pretty much and for free, for 6 months at Clemson, and then a spot opens up to be a GA, and then here we are now.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So are you full-time now, or are you still a GA?
I'm still a GA. Yeah.
Okay.
So, gosh, I can't imagine how much more full-time change than what it is now. It's a ton of fun. It's a ton of fun. But yeah, GA in getting masters in athletic leadership. So.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Is this your second year as a GA at this point?
No, first semester. So,
First semester.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Liking it so far?
Yeah, not bad. I'm knocking things out. So, I like the group work. I like the people. I wish, I could go see people in person. It's all online. I miss that aspect.
Yeah, for sure.
I know at Liberty, when they're exercise science masters, they were going to it because it was right there. So I definitely was like, man, I wish I could go see people. But it's still fun. It's fun to interact, see people outside the facility,
Yeah. Good deal, man. Good. Are you living on campus or are you off campus somewhere?
I'm off. So I was in a basement for a while, and then
nice.
Two of the coaches, two of the coaches were like, hey, we're looking for a play. One of the strength coaches and then another position coach, and hey, you want to get a play? So I'm in the house now. So
nice.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. First time not living in a dorm or a basement, so it's pretty awesome. I love my roommates; they're cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, so what was the initial connection to Clemson for you?
So I saw. I've always liked Coach Sweeney. Well, we'll take it all the way back to my family. Is from South Carolina.
Okay.
They've always been huge Clemson fans. So growing up, I was like this little kind of a turd of a boy, and I was like, I'm gonna be a Gamecock fan. I was a Gamecock fan through high school, high school, and then it was just I started to figure out strength and conditioning, started to get around Kerr, and Kerr is the master of talking about your interests. So he's like, hey, I'm not gonna. So he was great at sprinkling in not to throw me off because he's so smart. But he was like Coach Batson at Clemson. He was a West Side guy. He was this guy like that. I was like, oh, Coach Batson. So that was some sprinkling in. Yeah. Bill knew Coach Batson, so that was some sprinkling in. And then
Bill Gillespie?
Coach Bill. Yeah. He knew Coach Batson actually witnessed to Coach Bill's father. It's a crazy story. Cool. Yeah. So, and then Coach Sweeney he's just, how can you not love him? I remember listening to podcasts or just watching him. And then I always loved, I remember watching it in high school, watching Clemson win the national championship and watching that game. And there's just something about it, man. Something about just the grittiness of them. So, I'm in my going to senior year at Liberty, and I'm like, I want to land an internship, and then all these little sprinkles of connections, and I'm like, hey, Coach Batson probably knows him, and then Cole Seaburn, who's a GA right now at Clemson. He lives in Carolina, and he interned, and I didn't even think of the possibility to get there until he was like, hey, man, I did an intern at Clemson over summer. I was like, no way. How'd you do that? And it was just, he's like, yeah, well, I'll talk to this guy. And I was like, well, okay, I'll talk to this guy. And it just added up. So kind of just years of liking Clemson or acting like I didn't. And then just always having respect in the back of my head for him. And yeah, man, it's honestly it's cliche to say, everybody always says, but dream come true.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, are you still training to compete in powerlifting?
Oh yeah. So
Okay, good.
I know I did a meet in July, and I got my first 2,000, and I'm like I'm
Good for you.
still
Let's
playing
go.
around with like I'm the type of guy where I'm like, man, I'm not wanting to coach. I want to do it not like myself, like macho, but like I want to figure out like how to develop a good program, and then also like selfishly, I'm like, man, I want to develop the next great powerlifting program. But and it ends up, man, ends up like things go good, things go bad. So I think for my next go around, I'm gonna hire a coach, just to
Okay.
get some money saved. I don't know who, but I'm like, man, like the way to learn is to get out there. So,
Yeah.
but I've been dealing with some hip issue. My hip issue right now. I started before the meet I did in July, and then I kept going into the meet. I did the meet. Oh, it's good, and then we kind of after that, it's just been nagging with me. So, but but just been right now, just we're training, just having fun with it. Still train seriously, but just with the season right now,
Right.
I have no really meet planned.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Getting into powerlifting, how young were you, or what age were you when you first started like realizing that that was something you could do?
I probably early high school. I always liked lifting. I was like a little fat boy growing up, so like we were going to the gym with mom and trying to lift, and mom would always go up to a room upstairs so that she would there like the gym we went to was like kind of like a just like a gritty gym, so like there wasn't like a child care, so she's like,
Okay.
and I grew up a single mom, so she's like, I can't just leave him at home. We were really young, so she's like, I'll just always all her workouts are always up in like every gym has like that room, right? It's like
Yeah.
like dumbbells, a punching bag, and a mirror. So that was always where she work out. She'd kill it in there. So I was like, well, I want to play with stuff. So if I'd push punching bag, I'd end up. She taught me how to bench. On like that. Those things that step up boxes people do in like Zoom classes.
Mm-hmm.
I laid across that, and she gave me one of those like skinny bars that weigh like 5 pounds, and she taught me how to bench on that. So mom
Nice.
was like the teacher for me. But got me into powerlifting, and I just maxed my way out pretty much all the time, and then did like bodybuilding stuff. So yeah, probably like just freshman year of high school, I figured out I could compete. And I remember I could look back at old like messages, me DMing or Facebook messaging people, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm not like spelling you, I'm like just putting the letter U, like just texting like an idiot, and like that was like figuring out, oh, I could compete, and then I think a guy at the gym, he was wearing like a powerlifting shirt. I think my mom asked how does he compete, and he gave her a website. I signed up, and that was one. And then there was this guy at the gym named David, and man, I wish I could remember his last name, but he helped me sign up for a first meet, and it was in Manchester, Tennessee. I was 16 years old, and yeah, dude, signed up, and then just I've probably done one every year since. I don't. A lot of people compete more than that. But I usually compete like once a year. I feel like I'm always sounds cocky to say always strong. It's just kind of like when I just pick a time that I want to compete. So
Yeah.
there's no. I've never been a guy to be like, oh, I just got all save it for the platform. Which is probably my downfall. Man, you know me. I'll never ever. I come from that Gillespie staff with those crazy guys, or one part staff intern. Where at any moment it could become a crazy max moment, and we'll throw it. So it's probably not the smartest thing to say, but man, it's just kind of fun. It creates good memories with the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So right backtracking, sophomore year, just DMing guys, powerlifters online, and saying, how do I do this? Because I always like the strongest man, and I was like, I want to do
right. That. Yeah. Kaz was always someone that. Yeah. So Bill Casimir, right? That's Bill Casimir.
Yeah.
He came to my high school when I was like 10 or something.
Wow.
And pulled a bus, bent a frying pan, like whole 9 yards.
Wow. Really awesome.
Yeah, I remember having this poster up in my they were handing out posters when he came, and I remember having that, and that was like my only exposure to like strongman, powerlifting, like
Yeah.
anything like that. But it was like very formative and was something that like stuck with me for a long time.
Oh heck yeah, dude! No, he's like one of my favorites, like one of my favorite strength idols, I guess you say, of all time, man. Like I freaking
Yeah,
that guy.
yeah, he's cool. He's a cool dude. All right, I gotta ask the Little Debbie lifting team. How did you? You're still on it, is that right?
I get like I I knew I bought like a T-shirt,
Okay.
started doing that, and then like yeah, I mean like dude, all you got to do is honestly just hop on and commit to being on the Little Debbie lifting team. You know, like
Okay. So what does that entail for you? Like,
um the guy that Dan McKim's the guy who owns.
mm-hmm.
So like I know I actually got to meet him for the first time in May. So
Okay, sweet.
got to meet him and was telling him, hey man, I've always been representing, and he's like, well, that's awesome. So yeah, of course, man, I'm always throwing that out there, dude. When I was lifting there with him, it was like, so I've always like one thing I've always done is like, oh, we'll eat a cosmic brownie before I have a big squat.
Yeah.
And and I would tell him that, and it was just crazy. Like it was at the CSCCA Strength Conference in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's right.
So I went there with the Clemson staff, and he was there with Sorinex, and I was like, Bill was there. He's like, hey, like, the Sorinex rack was like, they have a squat competition. It's like, oh, might as well go and give it a go. So and I got there, and I'm like, oh man, I don't have a Little Debbie, and then I see all these Little Debbies that are there, and I see Dan McKim. I'm like, holy smokes! So yeah, it was a match made in heaven. But oh yeah, man, always representing.
Yeah, he's a funny dude. He's a funny dude.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a really good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys get to chat and catch up?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
good.
yeah. I talked to him a lot. That was really cool about that thing. Just
Mm-hmm.
seeing people outside their coaching element. You know, I feel like I'm kind of like me all the time, but some people aren't. You know, some people are two different people, which is not wrong. Like you just turn it on, you turn it off. Like I guess me, I'm always kind of loud a little bit, but
That's all right.
yeah, but
That's good, man. That's good.
out with them at the Sorinex Summer Strong. I really got to hang out with him there, and
Yeah.
he's really cool. I mean, he's a good like man of God too. I mean, he's a good guy.
Yeah. Is that hard to find where you're at? I guess Dabo is a pretty strong believer.
Yeah. Coach Sweeney, he's a good guy. He really lays that down.
Good. Yeah.
I'm like one verse we always talk about is Galatians 6:9. You know, don't grow weary in doing the good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, no, he's an awesome guy, man. He lays it down there a lot. I mean, for every team meeting is something said. So,
that's good.
Yeah, it's not Liberty, cool. You know, but
yeah, it can't be.
It's just shown in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what's been your favorite part about like the experience at Clemson so far?
Favorite part about it's probably been, sounds selfish, but probably like my personal growth, like just being able to realize like, okay, I'm not at Liberty anymore. I don't have God in every corner like it is at Liberty, right? So like it teaches me like, all right, this is the real world. You know, I'm not like Liberty shelters you, so I'm not like sheltered anymore. So that like learning how to grow up, you know, go to church on my own. It like little things like that, man. Like at Liberty, it just you didn't think about that,
right? Yeah.
So like just like really developing my faith, like Duncan's faith, you know, instead of the group consensus faith, you know. So doing that, man. Then just probably the culture is definitely the big thing, man. Like learning to buy in, like what is all in and what does it really mean? Like Coach Sweeney always uses the story, like Coach Batson's used it, Coach Sweeney's used it of of this boss sending both two workers to go get oranges, and he says, "Hey, my wife's having a party. I need some oranges. I don't have time to go get them. Will you go get them?" And one guy goes, gets him, brings him back. Okay, cool. One guy goes, okay, he gets the guy. When he leaves, he remembers he has the boss's phone number. He calls the boss. Hey, you want orange juice? What kind of oranges do you want? You have this, or I don't know if it was orange juice or lemonade, but what type of the blah 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 fruit do you want? Okay, hey, do you need Well, you need silverware. Hey, I remembered you like this, and when I heard that story for the first time when I got here, I was like, oh my gosh, that's just like over the top, like insane. And in the back of my head, I still think that. But it just taught me like what it means, to really be all in. And instead of just putting a check mark on something, like really, really feel every single corner.
Right.
And that's something I still, I'm trying to do, man. Like one thing, Coach Batson always tells us is much is given, much is required. We have the biggest weight room in the country. So, it's kind of like I'm kind of like head over the cleaning. So so man, I always tell it sucks, but I always tell myself much is given, much is required, and like people would literally probably kill to be in this position, more than likely. People out there, and probably more than we'd like to, throw out. Okay, they probably would, but and I'm like, dude, like it's an honor. And I tell like the boys that are under me, and I hate to ever really I tell the interns, because my job's like a glorified intern, like, I try to be on there. I want to be in the trenches with them, man.
Right.
So, and I just tell them like, hey, dude, like, don't take this for granted, man. Like, don't take this for granted. And we just had an intern be bumped to student assistant, so he get a little pay now. And I told him,
Nice.
hey man, like you've done the work, like it's worth it. And tell him like don't take it lightly, like celebrate your wins. Like, and Coach Sweeney says too, like when we win, we dance, even if it's freaking like a 28-29, like 29-28 win. We freaking won. And
that's cool. Yeah.
So I tell them that. But yeah, man, just the culture here, learning what it takes to be all in, and just learning that in all my facets of life. So I'm still a young idiot, I still do stupid stuff, man. And there's a lot of places I'm not all in, but it's just learning, like it's a journey. Coach Sweeney always said, it's a journey. It's a journey. The man that loves to walk is gonna go way further than the man that loves the destination, right? So we're gonna walk further. So man, just loving that and just taking every day step by step, being intentional. So yeah, the culture and just my own walk has been the biggest takeaway.
Okay, great. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
What do you think has been like one of the biggest struggles for you making that transition from overtly Christian university at Liberty to Clemson, or even just in the transition from, just being an intern and helping out versus like really having a role there?
Probably just like going from Liberty to Clemson, probably, just an environment, man, of just, okay, like this is what it's like. Like not everybody is going to be like, oh, hey, how are you? Like it is. And everybody's super nice here, but like, it's still different, man. It's a different environment. And probably biggest struggle is with me, man, is I hate, it sucks. I'm a people pleaser. So it's different now being a GA and having to just put the hammer down sometimes. And that I'm never like, come here, but it's like just in different ways, I just have always been a guy where a lot of the time my voice will already like command a room. And sometimes like it's not going to command. So I just have to find different ways to do that. So as the GA now, I think just I guess you say struggle in a way. It's just been, hey, just learning how to lead in different ways. So some guys are a little different, so I just have to figure that out. But other than that, that's probably like honestly, like I said, man, like going from intern to GA, you do a lot as an intern. So going to be a GA, doesn't change. And I was a very involved intern, with like.
Oh yeah, you traveled with the teams.
Yeah,
at times.
With just being taking a coaching group and stuff like that. Oh, There's a cop car out there. But yeah, man, that just growing into the role, like realizing I'm not an intern anymore, and like, hey, like you're in charge now,
Right.
So, lead the way. And I always say like my job and all of me and the other interns' job is we're not captains of the ship, or we're not like main head guys of the ship, like front runners. Our job as like these little sailors is to make sure the ship is cleaned, that the flags are up, the sail is up, ready to go, and the cannons are loaded, and that when the captains come out to run the ship, all they got to do is go fire the cannon and fricking just sail the boat. Our job is to make sure that the ship is ready to go, ready to battle. So you can put that in any analogy you want, but that's just what's clicked. And so that's kind of just been my perspective on the job is just make sure everything's locked and loaded so that the big dogs can go. And that's just how Coach runs it, man. Just like how Coach Gillespie ran it. Just you know, we're there to help. We're there to make sure everything's ready. And he's there to lead, which is awesome. God, it's so cool to get to learn under him and get to just see that. I got track, but yeah, my mind bounced different areas.
No, that's all right. That's good. And I want to talk shop with you a little bit.
All right.
Talk training methods.
All right.
We'll start with your personal training methods. How you have been training to increase your strength, maintain, because I know you had some knee issues going on, how you have progressed through that, and what a typical training day looks like, what kind of methods you use.
Yeah. So usually, man, like I was just kind of like, so I usually train 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Just a typical 2 upper, 2 lower, and then I guess 3 upper. Two are like 2 powerlifting upper days, 2 powerlifting lower days, which a main lift is involved, and then the extra is always like a back day. And but it what I found just with me, and it's just through a lot of trial and error, and it's something like I was in a program now where it just ended up and like, okay, that didn't work for me. Is probably my best takeaway with strength is like, especially with like gaining it, is always like touching and like the RP like 9 range a lot. And so like whether that's a single with like maybe 8, let's say RP 8 or 9, a single with like always you always got 1 or 2 left, and that just teaches you like technical proficiency. That always teaches you just being able to like handle the weight, because I think that's the biggest thing is, okay, sure, I can rep something for 5 reps, and I'm like, oh, on the 1 rep max calculator, it says I have 100 more pounds, but I might only have 25 left in me because I can't handle it for a single. I remember Bill would always say, you don't get in the groove until your second rep. And I was like, oh, okay. So then to understand it now, it's like, hey, it's powerlifting is not a game of second reps. So, but as far as like building strength, man, my training looks, I always like to start with, and this goes with souls go upper body. I always like to start with the main movement. So usually it's the bench or it's my main press. And and I'll structure in waves, man. I'll be in like a 6x6 wave. I'll be in like feet up wave, just something like that, man. And then after that, I'll do a bench variation, and it just matters like sometimes. Usually I'll go max effort for that, and by effort, it's just pyramid. Like I'm 1 rep max, I'm done. I'll do like 4 sets of 4 up to like a max 4, or 5 sets of 3. Like it's just like pushing really hard RP.
Yeah,
and then after that, I'll do a dumbbell variation of a press, and I start supersetting stuff with that. So like, I'll focus on my main, let's say bench. I'll focus on the main bench, and then the second press, which is like max effort, I'll start supersetting pull-ups with that. So get my back work in.
Yeah.
And
kind of do antagonists there a little bit.
Yeah, and then and sometimes I'll do like a bent over rear delt with it, but usually it's pull-ups. And then after that, I'll go to the dumbbell which usually I'll alternate between both sessions. One day it'll be dumbbell incline, one day it'll be dumbbell shoulder, and that'll be supersetted with the back. And that's just like of choice. Like, okay, what is my feel? My favorite back exercise is like the incline seal row, just chest supported row.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
and I love that. So, and then after that, man, I just usually I go 2 to 3 supersets after that. So I'll do like a shoulder superset, an arm superset, and then if I have time, I'll throw in something like, oh, I want to do this. But that's kind of like upper body wise what I do. And then as far as like what scheme I'm in for that like block, that's just how I implement it. But all my workouts usually always run like that scheme. So it's a lot of work,
Nice.
but it's what worked for me. So if it's like more like, hey, I'm trying to build muscle, that main press could be a 6x6. Hey,
Right.
I'm trying to build my strength. I'm trying to improve. It might just be a couple singles, or it might be
Right.
yeah. So with lower body, I'll do a main squat. And even on like a deadlift day, I'll squat before I deadlift. So, but I'll do a main squat, and then I'll do like some type of out of my like main squat day, I'll do squat, and then I'll do a hinge variation. So usually just an RDL. It could be a deadlift. It could be anything like. So it just matters like something that's not going to really, really kill me. But I'll usually follow that range and like I try to get 15 to 25 reps total. So just however rep scheme I want to break that up in, and that's just by choice. If it's a deficit, I'll probably keep it in I won't go above 3 reps. I just don't really like going above 3. But on that, but if it's an RDL, I could do 8 reps. But
Right.
so squat, and then that hinge deadlift, and then after that, that's when I'll move into usually something that's really just a thick posterior chain builder. So that could be a Zercher good morning. That could go in, do some pin squats. That could go, but I still keep it compound lift.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Still keep it a compound. I think that's where the money's made. And a lot of people and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot. Just keep it light. Like keep it like an accessory. Like I won't do a max effort secondary thing like I do with my.
Right.
That's just something I've just through training have been able to do.
Well, I feel like when you're adding that much volume to the legs, that's where you have your like knee and hip issues start to really show themselves, and back too.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's probably why I have this hip issue right now. Is just with pushing for that meat, and then just not take care of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after that, so like squat and like I said, deadlift type, deadlift hinge, and then another compound for posterior chain. Then I'll usually just end it with like hamstring and like some type of abs. Right now, my lower body training is a lot of just unilateral work. So a ton of just been like doing I usually will start just with the hip. It's kind of hurting, so like I'll start with either an RDL or a good morning, and that's just what feels good.
Right.
And then after that is just a ton of a split squat, lunges. We have a belt squat, and I'm like staggering my feet on that. But just a ton of stuff. Safety squat, safety bar, split squat. And then with deadlift, that day, that's where I'm always like figuring out. That's like my weak link. So just figuring out what trains. I'll either overtrain it or I'll undertrain it. Like I'm kind of trying to find that happy place with it. But usually it'll be around that. I'll do like a lighter squat, and on that day I'll do like five sets of 3 on the squat. And it's not necessarily a speed squat, but just something to make it flow. Get
something with a little power to it.
Yeah. So
nice.
So and then with deadlift after that, it's just whatever I'm feeling. So or whatever like is on that block. So it could be, hey, I'm pulling against bands, or hey, it's a pause deadlift, something like that. And then after that, it's the same thing: a posterior chain builder, some hamstrings. So that's what's worked for me. It's what's built my squat. It's what built a bench. But yeah, deadlift is a thing where I'm like always open. I'm always trying to figure it out. It'll move and then it'll stop, and So that's just, everybody's got that one lift.
Yeah.
So, and that's just, that's just mine. So, but yeah, it's kind of confusing how I break up everything. But in my head, it's like, okay, this is that. But
no, I mean, it makes sense for sure.
With my training, I just keep it very, I just keep mainly like compound lifts in there. I think that's what kind of builds it.
Right.
Builds the strength is just getting in there and making it look like the main lift as much as possible, and without it being the main lift.
Right. Yeah. I mean, hey, that's the specificity principle, right? Yeah. You're doing something that's as close to what you're going to compete in as possible, and still maintain your strength and vary it up enough to keep you from getting injured. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's that principle, just how it should be applied, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Thanks. Thanks for outlining that for us.
Heck yeah.
Got hopefully a lot of people listen to that and pick something up there. Give yourself some competition. But,
oh my God, they're gonna have to freaking watch it 17 times. My mind's all over the place with it.
Oh man. So kind of switching gears, going to like the football weight room. What's kind of the focus? How's things outlined? Do you get those guys like 4 or 5 days a week, or what's that look like for you?
Right now, we're just lifting twice a week.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's usually I'll start the guys with some type. A lot of the guys can clean, so that's a lot of fun. I'll clean them, and then the guys that can't, usually a trap bar dead, a jammer, something along that.
Oh yeah.
Something to triple extend, something to, and then after that we'll squat, and a lot of the time, a lot of the cat squats right now are like cat squats, just compensatory acceleration, and so it's usually at a tendo. So at a point, it's like 0.6, 0.5. And so just hit like that. They have a number, like we print charts, and but some guys might need to go a little higher. Some guys might go a little lower off the tendo. But yeah, then some guys that can't squat, there's obviously other stuff I'll do with them. So, but I try to keep it where guys are together. But that's what comes with being at a nicer school. I have a belt squat. So we have like 5 leg presses. Then there's stuff where we can do. There's never anything we can't. But
you can always find an alternative that can be loaded pretty heavily.
Oh yeah. So but yeah, and then after that we'll go into usually just some hamstring. So some guys will do RDL, some guys might just do like those rollers that roll out and come in. I always forget the name. I always just call them hamstring rollers. Their heels are on it and they're rolling out. Just like eccentric work. But just some hamstring work, and then always throwing in abs with it.
Okay.
So we're always super set with squats. It's usually like an isometric type ab.
Yeah.
With RDL, we'll throw in. We're like, we'll throw in some hanging abs. Just like take away. I know that helps with hernias. And so and then after that, man, we've kind of knocked out a lot of lower body, and it's pretty light. And then we'll go in and hit some upper. So right now, in season, we decided we benched. Our president was with the barrel bar. So at least my group. So I'm with like the linebackers. Linebacker, tight end, running backs. So
gotcha.
So they obviously like our quarterbacks do something totally different. Our D line, like it's all.
Oh, yeah. But it's very specific.
Yeah. So the barrel bar is a neutral grip like this, and it's a big barrel. So it's like benching like a 2 board maybe. I know with my short arms it's like a 4 board, but it's we'll have them do that, and coach has a very slow progression, and we'll do that, and then like some days so that's on one day, and then another day we'll the lower body stuff stays the same. We won't clean on day 2. That's more of we'll just all trap bar dead. And then the squats turn to speed squats at like a 0.8, which against 80 pounds of chains, and that's a percentage. I think it's off like 45%. But the pressing, one day we bench you like a pad. So Elite FTS makes those pads.
Yeah, yeah.
We bench off those and we rotate between a red or a black pad. And then the second day of benching, we bench on the barrel bar. And guys are
Okay.
hitting PRs. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, you'll have down weeks to where the games are hard, the practices are hard. But then, and then you'll have like good feeling weeks. So last week, I think I had like 6 guys all bench over 405. And that's just saying a number. Every single one of them PR'd. And that's a big, thick group that I've got. So,
Yeah.
And I work under Coach Batson, so he's like there, like watching. So like I say, I've got that Coach Batson's got. So it's freaking awesome, man. He lets me go in there and just kind of run rhythm. It's a ton of fun, but lots of PRs. It was crazy because you're like, God, they're not looking too good one week, and you just have to alter stuff and just make sure they're healthy, make sure they're not missing any reps. And he's like, oh, you just got to trust it because obviously up and downs, and then they'll come back 2 weeks later and be great, and have incredible days. And then after that, man, after a press, we always superset our presses with like a rear delt, rear delt, and some back. It's just kind of like all it's keep changing things up,
something to keep shoulder healthy kind of thing.
And then workout, it's usually just like maybe like two supersets just throw in. So it's like some dumbbell, like single arm dumbbell, some delt work, some extra back work, and then I like to always let the guys leave with a pump. So just like my workout might suck, at least they leave feeling all right.
Nice.
But it's very simple right now. I'm ready for off season, where it gets where we can really have a lot of excitement. But it's fun, man. Still getting them in there. So, it's kind of what the layout looks like right now.
Cool, man. Yeah. I know it's interesting to see you talk about like the guys coming in and one week they're not looking so good, and then 2 weeks later, all of a sudden they're hitting these crazy PRs. But yeah, so they come in, they're not doing so well, and then all of a sudden they come back. You got to remember they're college students too, which is between the stress of tests and every game's a little bit different in life, and it's not like you've got professional athletes who are solely focused on that one thing. I think people forget, right? Even whether you're in the sport or out, and you're watching from the outside, I often catch myself just observing fans talking about these players. I'm like, you guys realize some of these guys on the field are 18 years old and they had a test, 2 hours before this that they had to go, prep for and stayed up all night studying for, kind of thing.
Yeah, man, dude. My favorite part of the job is the relationships and like getting to talk to those guys through that, man, and like getting to if the opportunity comes, get to pray with guys or get to share like kind of like my faith and or just really get to encourage them. There's different ways to show your faith. So that's my favorite part of it, man, because everybody's got different stuff. There's guys that are like, hey, maybe the coach before me, or maybe coach in high school never said I was much of a lifter, or some guys are walk-ons and they don't believe in themselves, and like that's your chance to inspire them. And there's guys that are studs, right, that are just ready to leave, ready to go to the NFL, and you're like, man, how am I going to talk to these guys? But there's opportunities that come up, like you just sit there and wait, keep digging, and then boom, an opportunity comes up. They might be injured this week, and you get that opportunity to talk to them and love on them. So that's probably my favorite part of the job, man. Is just getting to love on the guys and getting to be there for them and have somebody to trust, because especially being in a big program like this, there's a lot of people that give fake love. And the fact that I can be there for them and show, hey, I'm going to be there, whether you have a suck game, a good game, whether you have a bad workout, good workout, well, I don't care, whether you're hurt or not, I'm always going to be there. I'm always going to push you, which can be annoying, but I'm always going to be there for them. That's my favorite part of it. Because at the end of the day, like I love learning every single type of programming. I love all that, man. But I pride myself in being a guy that can come in and just connect. And
Yeah.
and it's never gonna. Sometimes don't come immediately because there's
Right.
people from every different type of culture, and there's guys that just don't want to connect. And hey, you just sit there and just be you. That's one thing. Just don't quit being you. When you try to be fake, it's thrown out the window.
Right.
Keep being you. And a lot of the time when they realize, the ones that don't, they're tougher to engage when they're like, okay, he's not fake. It's maybe been a month of you just
Right.
being consistent, and they open up. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's definitely my favorite part, man, is just getting to pour into those guys and loving them like humans instead of football players.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it, right? That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Duncan, I think that about wraps it up for me. Anything you want to add?
No, man, dude, I had a freaking great time. I was really excited to see that you started this, man. Every time I talk to you, every time I got to talk to you on campus, man, I always enjoyed it. So, and
Likewise,
such
brother.
a smart guy. People need to see videos and pictures of the freaking bandana lifting, man. The black bandana coming out. But
Yeah.
man, dude, nah, man, I'm just glad I got to be on. I think I've only ever been on like one podcast before, so
Well, happy to have you, brother.
yeah, this was cool, man. This was a ton of
Cool.
fun.
Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe.